This video is initially for people who either recently got a camera or recently discovered that they had a camera in the house and just wanted to try photography. We'll start at auto. So first up we have auto. It's my least favorite mode. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Everything is automatic. Now I'll speed up the next bit because I think the next few are pretty self-explanatory. However, if you feel that it isn't self-explanatory, you can always look through the pictures. The ones you should be focusing on. You have M, which is manual, everything is manual. Then you have A, which is aperture priority. You then have S, which is shutter priority, and P, which is program. Now coming back to M, you can change anything you want. So using the command dial, this dial right here, change the shutter speed, and I've made the function button the ISO, so you can change that using the function button, which can be done by going to menu and then custom setting menu and going to FN button. I've made it ISO, but if I'm not wrong, usually it's self-timer, which is not very useful for me. But everyone has different use cases, so you're the judge. Now, talking about the lens before I actually talk about the mode, this good lens usually would have low aperture, which is this number right here, f1.8. Okay, now M, as I said, you can change the shutter speed, and you can also change the ISO. Also, when you're in M, you can change the aperture by pressing this button right here and move using the command dial. Then let's talk about the second mode, which is aperture priority. You can it changes the shutter speed automatically depending on the aperture. The f-stop is actually a ratio, so it's 1:to the number given. Higher the aperture, lower the f-stop, bigger the opening. Also, lower the aperture, sharper the image. So, but it also gives a bokeh effect. So if I go to aperture priority and take a picture at a low, I won't do it now, but if I take a picture at a, okay, let's see, at a low aperture and a high aperture, you can see the difference. But the shutter speed. So this is a clip about the aperture. So I want you guys to focus in there. So as this is actually currently on the maximum aperture of this lens, which is 1.8. Now if I turn it, you can see the opening is actually decreasing. The f-stop is increasing and the aperture is becoming smaller, so it's decreasing. Let me zoom in and you can see the same. Over here it's increasing, over here it's decreasing. The aperture. Increase, decrease. So this mode is aperture priority, and as you can see, the command dial changes the aperture. So you have full control over the aperture and the ISO. However, the shutter speed is adjusted automatically. Sometimes this is not very accurate, but it's a quicker and easier way to change the aperture of your camera. Next up is shutter priority. It prioritizes shutter speed and the aperture is automatic. Last but not least, we have program, which allows you to make multiple presets which get saved. And so if you find a sweet spot between the perfect shutter speed and aperture, you can save that in program. Now, if you're starting out, I would strongly recommend that you only focus on M and you only focus on A, because the other two modes are not as useful in the beginning. Now let's go back to M and focus on ISO. ISO basically refers to the camera's sensitivity to light. Higher the ISO, higher the sensitivity to light. And higher the sensitivity to light, more the noise in the picture. So I just increased the ISO and you can see how much graininess there is in the background. So for a cleaner image, you'd want to reduce the ISO as low as you can and provide as much light to the object as you can. Now watch, as I reduce the ISO, the graininess in the background decreases, but you also need more light. Alright, next I'm gonna tell you all how to focus quick. So say you're taking portrait photos. Oh my gosh, let me zoom out. Okay, I'm gonna So one of my tips would actually be to go to DPReview.com. It is a really useful website. As you can see, you can look for any camera you want that you either have or you're looking to buy, and you can see the specifications. You can also check if your camera has capability to do video. My favorite feature about this website is that it has many of the newest cameras as well as the very old ones. They also have accurate and to the point descriptions about many lenses. Okay, so the setup went something like this. I put my camera like this and like this. So this is a taller bottle and a shorter bottle. Now sure, a good tripod is an investment, but if you don't have a tripod, doesn't mean you can't take stable pictures. So I kept it like this and I took a picture at shutter, if I'm not wrong, it was 1/2 shutter speed. This should be pretty self-explanatory. Just take care of your gear, keep it in a good dry environment, and don't abuse it. Tip number 3, if you have any doubt or if you feel one of my points are wrong, ask away in the comment section, or if you want me to cover a certain topic, request away. This lets me know what kind of topics or things y'all want to see and what content I should make. So for me, I shoot using manual focus, but there's nothing wrong with using autofocus. So if you're using a DSLR or mirrorless that supports RAW, I would definitely recommend you shooting in RAW, because that gives you a lot of flexibility in post-production. So I've got a Nikon D60. It is pretty old, but it's gold. Oh wait, where's the UV? My last tip would be to like and subscribe to my channel, because I will be posting content similar to this once every 1 or 2 weeks. Also, I invest a lot of effort and time into making these videos, and subscribing and liking really means a lot to me. With that being said, peace.